Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are finally sitting down to announce the winners of the Shrouded London Writing Contest. My name is Alex Rabitsky, and I am joined with Jason Cordova, who is the sole judge of this writing contest. So, before we get into announcing any of the winners and spotlight picks, let's talk about that for a moment, Jason. First of all, just for the person watching the video here who might not know, what was/is the Shrouded London Writing Contest?
Yeah, so the Shrouded London Writing Contest is a writing contest that we held during the backer kit campaign for The Between. I wanted to do it because, mostly just because I thought it'd be a fun thing to do, and I wanted to encourage people to write things for games, which is something I always like to do. But also, like, there was just this idea of, The Between kind of has these like particular parts to it, like paint the scene questions and the unseen and stuff like that. And so I thought it'd be like a really good excuse or a good like way to get people to kind of interact with those strange novel parts of the rules, right? And so yeah, so we held this contest. The contest had two entry tracks. One was locations. You had to come up with four locations unified by a theme of some sort, and then and follow the location format of the game. And then we did unseens as well. If you're watching this video, I assume you're going to know what all these things are. So I don't think we have to go into that. But yeah, those were the two tracks. And we are here to spotlight a couple of entries that I wanted to spotlight and then announce the winners in each track. So
Yeah. So first of all, this will be my first time in a writing contest, not as a judge myself. I'm hosting this. You chose to host, or rather, you chose to judge this by yourself,
I did.
and that's a
Yeah.
little different than usual. So why?
Yeah, you're right. We've done so many of these writing contests, and with the exception of the very first Trophy Dark writing contest, I have never been a judge. Usually, what I do is I pick three other people who have some kind of familiarity or expertise or proximity to whatever is being judged, and I have them or I ask them to do it. In this case, I wanted to judge it because for a few reasons. One, I had not judged a contest in a while, and that sounded fun, like it's something I want to do. But also, there was just this idea of because a good number of these are probably going to go into the books, and especially after we unlock those that one stretch goal that is like expanding the unseens and the locations in the game, right? That creating the Shrouded London chapter of the game. Um, because some of them are going in the book, because the between is really important to me. It's very much like my kind of vision of like role playing games in in a lot of ways. I just wanted to have like a good handle on it. So I wanted to be able to have an excuse, first of all, to read all of the entries very carefully. And this was a good excuse to do so in preparation for some of them potentially going into Shadow Society. And then also, yeah, I just wanted to be able to like I wanted like the entries, the winning entries especially, to kind of like best reflect like the between. That was kind of my hope, and that just seemed like the best way to accomplish that was to judge it myself. And so that was the
Well, we had
idea.
a lot of submissions to this contest, so you had your work cut out for
Yeah, I
you.
did, yeah, yeah. And when also I should note here that like we usually judge these contests totally blind, and in this case it was not totally blind. There I like there was a chance for me to know what entries people were doing when I did when I hosted the
The
writing
workshop,
the
yeah.
workshop, yeah. But also just I wasn't in the writing contest channel in Discord much, but I wasn't like banned from it, and so it wasn't like totally blind, but it was blind in the sense that I was like, these were coming in, and this was all happening during a crowdfunding campaign. And
Yeah.
I promise you, I had no memory of who did what by the time I got ready to read these. And also, when I was reading them, I didn't know who did it. Like, I
Mhm.
didn't know who submitted them. Like, you had all that information, right?
Yes,
So
I
it
had
was
the
like
name.
98% blind, basically. Yeah,
Which is blind enough, I guess.
blind enough. Yeah.
Blind enough. So let's get right into it then. We're going to start first with the locations track, and we're going to do your spotlight pick. So would you care to introduce what your spotlight location is?
Yeah, so for the spotlight location, I chose an entry called Such sights to show you. I still
This
don't know who wrote it, but
this was yes, I have the name. This was submitted by an individual known as Salty. So
salty.
yeah,
Why don't we just read these and then we'll kind of
yeah.
discuss it? So the theme is called Such Sights to Show You. And if you're a horror fan, that is going to stick out to you in a big way. We start with Bannock's bathhouse. Sultry darkness, your pores bloom open to the steam. Or your pores bloom open to the steam. The heady taste of wood smoke. A wizened old man crouches by the stove. Paint the scene, two hunters with the cosmic passage marked. The heat is sweltering, yet your senses expand. What visions does the bathhouse spirit show you through the steam?
Oh, very good. I'll tackle Mason's arms then. A sour ammoniac smell in the air, floorboard sticky with reddish ale, funeral silence for a condemned man drinks here alone. Paint the scene. The pub prides itself on being the last place for those executed on Tyburn Tree to drink. What do the ghosts whisper in your ear?
Speaking of Tyburn Tree, prisoners cry out for mercy, pleasure seekers struggle in ecstasy on the noose, death cleaves close a jealous lover. Paint the
Paint the
scene.
scene. Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
God. Through the veil that separates life and death, who reaches back to you? What do they say? We also have a special rule here. Hunters who have previously marked the blood-soaked portal count their answer as a clue for an active threat. Very, very cool.
It's very fun.
I don't know how you previously marked the blood-soaked portal, but that's part of why I wanted to spotlight this.
There is the beetle has a mechanic, one of the
You're right.
threats that
It
lets
does.
you.
You're
Yeah,
right.
there are three
Yep,
fields
that is
that
right.
you unmark
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then
It would
lastly,
be rare.
yes,
Yeah.
very rare. But cool for those who have. And then lastly, for purgatory, human bodies stuffed and mounted, strung between saints as reliquaries and sagging church beams, sanguine, slick fluid on cobbles, patrons drenched in tweed and silver and sadism. Paint the scene. Purgatory is a hunter's club for the deadliest prey in what was once consecrated ground. What makes you feel like prey in this place?
It's pretty terrific, right?
It's
The
very
reason,
good.
yeah, the reason why
Yeah.
I wanted to spotlight it, it was not, I didn't like it quite as much as the winners, and so that's why I'm
Mhm.
spotlighting it. Also, it's pretty out there as far as like locations and stuff go, and so I feel like you'd have to have like a really specific kind of like situation going on to interact with these. But who knows? I don't know. You can see it, Demon of Kilburn Abbey, maybe. I don't know. Maybe some of these could come up, but. Such sights to show you. That's got to be a Hellraiser reference, right?
Oh, obviously.
Yeah, and I was like, when I was reading it, I was like, is that a Hellraiser reference? And like, is this a Cenobite thing? And then as I was reading each location, even though these are like not locations from the Clive Barker film Hellraiser, I was like put in the mind of Hellraiser, right? You know, like I was put in the mind of some of like the key scenes of that movie, a lot of the themes, the sort of like, sort of like painful pleasure, torture, eroticism themes, punishment themes. It was just really, really strong. And it was such an outside the box approach to the locations, probably the most outside the box thinking of any of the location entries that we got. I wanted to highlight it. That was super cool.
I think that's awesome. I particularly like the bathhouse. I think we have a lot of bathhouse visits in
We
the
do.
games.
Yeah.
So
If
like
you have a
having
Selkie,
like
you do.
yeah, exactly for sure. So I don't know. I like it. I like it a lot. So
Super
yeah,
fun.
it's very good. So actually, let's move on then to the winners of the
Indeed.
location track. So the first winner listed here is Final Resting Places by Thomas DePaulo.
Final resting places. Okay, so we start with the Cemetery of All Souls, Kensal Green. Fragrances of lilies, rosemary, and tilled earth, dappled sunlight on polished granite monuments, an unseen speaker recites from Shelley's Adonais. Paint the scene. How does this place tempt you to put mortal concerns aside and sleep for an hour or a day or forever?
Next up, we have Drury Lane Burial Ground. Every step sinks into the muddy hillside. At the top, mourners in frayed black crepe sob and sniffle, a miasma of rot around the open grave. Here lies a deceased side character. How do you know their grave was recently disturbed?
Aldgate's Roman catacombs. Dust-veiled work lamps seem to cast shadows without light. Underfoot, rubble shifts and ancient burial grounds snap. Ahead, echoes voicing Echoing voices grumble over delays to the new tube tunnel. Paint the scene. The Romans buried their dead with valuables so the appeased spirits wouldn't seek vengeance. What defenses guard these remains, and are they meant to keep thieves out or the undead in?
And lastly, the Dewart House of Horror. A barker calls to passers-by, a small fortune jangling in his hat. Sightseers brush shoulders as they enter. Inside, brown stains spatter the floorboards. Paint the scene. This attraction's operators claim Godfrey Dewart was slain by Roger the Reaver and his body hidden here in his own home. Which aspects of the crime scene have not been exaggerated or staged? These are really good.
They're really good, right? Yeah. So, here's the thing about this contest. Overall, in both tracks, the entries were of a very, very high standard, right? Everyone did a really, really good job. In some instances, you had some entrants that maybe didn't quite like grasp paint the scene, or maybe they didn't quite understand the structure of the game. Maybe they never played the game before. But that was very much the minority. For the most part, people turned in stuff that was really, really good. And so when I was choosing the winners, to some degree, it's kind of a subjective process. I had my three criteria: playability, which I interpreted to mean like, am I going to be able to get this to the table? Like, is this an array of things I can get to the table, right? Do they function, right? Do they paint the scene? Are the paint the scenes, like solid in terms of like how we define how that should work? Creativity, just, cool ideas basically. And then the quality of writing. And this one ticks all of the boxes really nicely. In addition, I'm also thinking about what are just the kinds of things that a keeper of the between needs, and something you're going to need in the between is graveyards and tombs.
Yes, I was
you're going to
actually,
need those things, right?
even though I was not a judge on this contest, one of the things I thought as I was looking through the entries as they came in was the locations that, as I'm reading them, feel like they're filling a want of mine,
Yes.
like as a keeper of the between.
Right.
Specifically, you call out cemetery and tombs. So many Roman catacombs have come into my games.
So many, yeah.
So many. So
Right.
I saw
Yeah.
that one and I was immediately locked in. Which, though, the House of Horror, I love the inclusion of Roger the Reaver. A little bit of
A nice
Highgrave House
touch.
lore.
Yep.
Very
Yep.
nice touch. Yeah, it's really good.
It's a really good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
love it.
Shall we move on?
Let's move on. Congratulations
next-
to, who was that? Thomas
Thomas DiPaolo.
Thomas DiPaolo. Very good.
Congratulations. All right, next up we have Modern Amusements by J. Evan Parks.
Modern amusements. We start with the amazing modern mechanical player, a small storefront with a huge shimmering brass. Is that, how do you say this word? Automaton?
Automaton.
Automaton. Metallic cards and dice rest on a gilt grand table. Waxy polish sticks to every surface. Paint the scene. What can be overheard from the line extending out from the shop that suggests the automaton is fake? And what can be overheard that contradicts it? I love PTSs like that, like
That's
either
really
ors.
good.
Yeah.
All right, next up is it okay? Is this short form MMDE for something? Is that Madam? I don't
Madam,
know.
I think. Yeah.
All right, Madam Mysteries Character Salon, interactive theater space with a lavish salon. Amateur sleuths play the role of characters solving dramatized killings. A sign advertises the schedule of upcoming play murders. Let's paint the scene. The current play murder has incorporated several supernatural elements. What specifically seems to reflect a current threat?
Isn't that good?
Yeah, that's really good.
L'Assembly Community Room. People of all social classes, waving portraiture of socialites and shouting. Deals are struck, trades are made. A man cries over losing a rare portrait. Paint the scene. L'Assembly or Assemblée, I'm not sure, is a gossip rag, distinguished by including a random mini portrait of a socialite with every issue sold. What details make some portraits more valuable than others?
And lastly, empty symphony self-singing lounge. Upright piano on a small stage, along with music stand and lyric book. Tipsy men and women sing songs off-key with clumsy musical backing. Paint the scene. The air in the room is light and bubbly, no one caring about musical accuracy. What can we see about the various patrons that show they're not as accepting outside this lounge?
I love that. That's such a I love a paint the scene that poses one thing and then kind of sticks in the knife and says there's really something else going on here that's really good.
I love
this one.
Victorian karaoke.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, no, it's so great. Obviously this one ticks all the boxes. Well written, well structured. Also, I just really love there's this idea in Victorian era, London especially, of like the Victorians were super into like new things, right? They wanted like all the new things, like they wanted to try all the new things and
So much novelty.
novelty, right? Yeah, yeah. And so this really kind of reflects that. In addition to giving you like four really diverse like kind of spaces that you can kind of pepper throughout your campaign as needed. So yeah, just really love this one. It was just so fun.
I just really like that the character salon provides a theatrical counterpart to the Illustrated Police News.
Also,
So
who
we can,
wrote this one?
Javen Parks.
Oh, Jevon Parks. Jevon Parks, great,
Yes. Yes,
fantastic,
yes. Well, excellent
fantastic.
job. All right, now let's move on to the last winner. This is Saints by Brian Miranda.
Saints. The abandoned church of St. Jude, shattered glass. A statue of Jude is crumbling with a plaque beneath that reads, the patron saint of lost causes. Paint the scene. Despite being mostly forgotten by London, how do we still see Jude's kindness shine through?
The Shrine of Saint Dismas, a small wooden figurine depicting the crucifixion of Dismas. Candles surround the shrine, the smell of freshly cut wood. The shrine is somewhere hidden in the alleys of London. It is said if you truly feel disgusted with what you've done, you'll find it. Paint the scene. Dismas is the patron saint of condemned and penitent criminals. What offerings do we find here?
The Church of St. Vincent de Paul. Tall, imposing gargoyles watch the streets. A church bell echoes through the district. Paint the scene. St. Vincent is the patron saint of charity. Looking at the areas surrounding the building, how could the money have been spent better?
The Pearly Gates, an abandoned pub with faded gold decorations all over. Great name for a pub.
Hmm.
Signs that people have been sleeping here recently. A single door inside that can't be opened no matter what. Paint the scene only if the darkened threshold is marked. Staring at the door, you can feel the judgment of St. Peter. In what ways does he try to guilt you for your deed?
I really I really enjoyed this one so much. This whole collection of locations. For one thing, it kind of like it's another one of those like answering like a need, right? Which is like you often end up with like needing churches and shrines and
Mm-hmm.
things, right, in the game. And so it's really helpful in that way. I think the paint the scene questions are really sharp on this. They like
Mm-hmm.
explore like really interesting themes. And then the pearly gates almost is just like it also was like a really humorous touch, right, to
Yeah,
the whole
it's a
thing.
really good
So
little tack on.
yeah, nice little
I like
tag
that a
on.
lot.
So just really
Well,
solid all around. Yeah, I love it.
congratulations, Brian Miranda. All right, we're going to move into the unseen track. We're going to
Hmm.
start first with your spotlight pick for the unseen track, which is also by our previous spotlight winner,
Oh, really?
Salty. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
That
Okay,
is
interesting.
congratulations, Salty. This is the
I wonder what that says
Vicar's.
about me as a reader. I mean, it
I
means
don't
I'm
know.
consistent, is what it means. Yeah,
Apparently.
yeah.
Well, this is the Vicar's last sermon.
Hmm. All right, unseen. Let's read this one. We're going to find it. Here we go. I'll read the intro and the first prompt. The Vicar's Last Sermon. Canterbury Cathedral is a grand building, towering above the skyline in the dip of the Stour Valley. As night falls, the faithful flock underneath the gilt Christchurch gate, or as night falls, the faithful flock underneath the gilt Christchurch gate move together into the stoic stone embrace of the cathedral. Leather-clad feet scuff at flagstones where so many shoes have trodden before. Voices join and swell together in prayer. Stars twinkle in the velvet dark sky, and a full turgid silver moon rises behind the cathedral spires. The first prompt says paint the scene. As a good portion of Canterbury's civilians file into the wooden pews and the vicar ascends the steps of the pulpit, what makes this scene feel like it could have taken place centuries before? And this is the really key part of this, right?
The second prompt. The vicar starts the first lines of his pre-prepared speech, beginning the sermon. How does the cathedral and congregation change around him as he speaks of when the cathedral was first built?
The congregation shifts, disturbed, as the doors to the cathedral are slammed open by four men dressed in gleaming plate armor. As they approach the vicar, what tells us that they are here to kill him?
And prompt number 4, the vicar can run, but he cannot evade the knights. His brains are dashed out upon the stone steps of the cathedral, blood splashed upon the altar cloth. In what monstrous ways does the congregation react?
So I wanted to spotlight this for a lot of the same reasons as the other one, actually, as it turns out. It is incredibly weird and maybe just a little bit outside the scope of what an unseen normally does, right? This almost feels like more like a threat, right? But it's very, very cool. It feels like an M.R. James ghost story in a lot of ways because it's sort of like this presumably modern day or contemporary to the Victorians vicar, but like flashing back to the medieval past or something, and the medieval past is encroaching. And it actually it feels a lot like there's a really particular, I think it's an M.R. James story called The Stalls of Barchester, and this feels like that a lot. Like it has that a lot of that vibe. Yeah, so I don't know. I wanted to spotlight it because again, it's so outside the box. It's so outside the box. It just shows really like interesting outside thinking that I think is worth highlighting. And
It's an
yeah,
unseen that lives in good company with the Selkie playbook, not specifically like one to one, playbook to the scene itself, but it adds a certain element of, because when you have once you're bringing the Selkie into the fore, I'd say there's an almost a more mystical side of London that we would like
that
to
kind of
see more
reveals
of.
itself. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Like a
kind of reveals
Fey
itself.
side of London. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Exactly. So
yeah.
seeing this is a really cool unseen. I just out of everything here love the brains dashed out upon the stone steps, blood on the altar cloth. It's very love the grisly end, very fun.
Yeah, it's super cool. Anyway, yeah, that was my spotlight pick.
Well, congratulations again, Salty. All right, so our first winner of the unseen track is Tuck Chester's Curiosities in Taxidermy by Julia Setting. First of all, I feel insane that I'm seeing in the year 2024 a Chuck Testa reference.
I don't even know what that
Um,
means. What is that?
it's a taxidermy guy. He had a commercial.
Oh,
It
I
was
had no idea.
if you need, yeah, yeah,
That's funny.
yeah, yeah.
I had no idea. But well, anyway, let's read it. Taxidermy. Okay. The taxidermist's workshop is cloaked in murky light, casting long shadows over countless glassy-eyed creatures resting in still, eternal poses. Shelves, shelves bow under the weight of owls with wings half spread, foxes caught mid-prowl, and rabbits forever poised to flee. The air is thick with the scent of formaldehyde, leather, and something faintly sweet, almost comforting, but not quite. First prompt: Tuck is preparing to close up his shop when a customer slips inside, cradling their newly departed pet. Their eyes meet Tuck's, filled with raw, pleading intensity. What do they say to compel him to begin his craft right away and finish it this very night?
Second prompt. Tuck works meticulously, hands moving with quiet reverence. Describe how he weaves a unique personal touch into the creature, ensuring this remembrance is unlike any other.
The former owner returns to claim their beloved pet, now stilled and perfect in its preserved form. As they cradle it, the creature's eyes seem to catch the light, gleaming faintly. Describe the reunion that unfolds. What subtle sign suggests that their bond, once forged in life, will endure until the owner's final breath?
Lastly, at last, Tuck closes his shop and returns home, where his family waits in patient silence. In what ordinary scene are they arranged, lovingly preserved for eternity? Paint the scene. How does this quiet evening pass? Oh my God.
It's got a plot twist. It's so good.
Oh, that's so good.
It's deeply fucking weird the whole way through because taxidermy is fucking weird. I'm sorry, but then like you have this like person show up and what I love about this one is this is one where it has like a really obvious like through line, right? Like there's a clear like narrative here. All unscenes do, but you can absolutely imagine based off how players answer the prompts, it's going to go into totally different things. You're going to get totally weird, bizarre stories, and I was really excited. I want to get this into the table. Actually, it's a super cool unseen.
I really like this one. I
Yeah.
got the first thing I got like the Norman Bates like taxidermy wall vibes.
Mhm.
Just that shot in Psycho. So that was I love taxidermy as like a set piece. So this
Mhm.
is very cool. And yeah, unexpected plot twist. So well done, Julius. You got us.
Fantastic,
All
fantastic. All right, what's
right.
next? What have we got?
Next up is The Butler's Final Rounds by Gilmore Greco.
Hmm. The Butler's final rounds. Mr. Morel, or Morrel, the Penberthy house butler, is making his rounds when he stumbles upon Fanny, a clearly sick maid. Fanny does not want to report her illness to the stringent housekeeper, Mrs. Howell. What's more, she only has the drawing room left. Mr. Morrel insists she go to bed and that he can clean the room as part of his rounds. Mr. Morrel always takes care of everything, so Fanny does not notice the signs that Mr. Morrel's heart is beginning to fail. He will not wake in the morning. Paint the scene. As he cleans the drawing room, Mr. Morrill handles the belongings of different Penberthy children. What fond bit of memory is triggered by each object?
The second prompt. The youthful Lord and Lady Penberthy witness Mr. Morrill steady himself from just some light dizziness in the hallway. How do they act towards Mr. Morrill that they will regret in the morning?
Mr. Morrill catches his breath, not as young as I used to be, as he reads the thank you note attached to a parcel in his apartment. Why was this note given to him, and what is the gift he will never enjoy?
And finally, as Mr. Morrill drifts off, he remembers an errand he needs to run first thing in the morning. Who will miss him at their shop due to his passing in the night?
It's so
It's
sad.
so sad. It's
I
really
know,
good.
it's really good.
It's
It's so
really
sad.
good.
Yeah, it's like structurally a perfect unseen. Like I have like no notes on this at all. It and it's really sad. And what I love about it is it's like it's really sad in that way because you know it's going to happen, right? Like it doesn't like lose any of its impact, right? In fact, what's nice about you knowing what's going to happen, depending on how you I guess like present it to your players is you can kind of like really structure like even before if you don't have the death scene you can at least like start to really like emphasize what's coming, I don't know, there's a lot of really good like potential for dramatic irony I think in this
Yeah,
one.
I like it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not. It's
super
an.
good.
It's it lives for me in the same company with things like the tarot card reading of
Of
like
Lydia
Lydia
Wainwright, yeah.
Wainwright, just because it's like it's a very complete story from front to back, as you just
Hmm.
said, and also it has a lot of themes woven into it that because I'm one of those keepers who likes to pair unseens with the events
Yes,
of the night.
absolutely. Yep.
So
That you
whether
can attach this to several threats, right?
several different
Yeah.
ones. So
Yeah.
well done, Gil. Good job. All right. The last final winner
Hmm.
is The Night Soil Men by Rob Fletcher.
Oh, Rob. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. The Night Soil Men. Uh, uh, content warning for scatological stuff, maybe? Okay. London's municipal sewers are a recent and modern marvel that are beginning to revolutionize sanitation in the city. But in many areas, the night soil man is still a common sight after dark. Bill Gabb and his old horse Cleopatra have been hauling their cart, sagging under the weight of human excrement for years. But tonight, Bill has another companion. Bill has promised his sister Nellie that he will take her hopeless son Charlie into the business. Paint the scene. As Bill sizes the boy up, what causes him to shake his head and chuckle? Charlie obviously has a lot to learn before he'll be a fit night soil man.
Second prompt. As the pair shovel out a cesspool in the basement of a family home, what vivid story does Bill tell to warn the younger man about the dangers of falling in?
Aren't they self-evident? But um, no need to be prudish about getting your hands dirty, son. Rolling up his sleeves, Bill roots around in the reeking contents of the wagon. What trinket does he wipe clean on the front of his shirt before holding it up for Charlie's inspection with a broad smile? How did it end up in Bill's wagon?
And finally, hauling the cart to Bill's regular dumping spot on the banks of the River Thames, what gruesome discovery do the pair make that turns even Bill's hardened stomach?
It's good, right? Yeah,
Very good ending
a
there.
great
Yeah.
ending. Yeah, yeah. It's all my favorite unscenes in the contest had like a really punchy part four, right? Because part four is where you really bring it home, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's funny. It's
The thing
gross.
I was gonna say is about the grossness specifically to Rob's credit. I was like, okay, yeah, that fourth prompt, it is like, oh, so that's why we're so gross because it really hits it at the last one to be like, and tell us what would make this guy,
What would make this guy?
what
Yeah,
would make
exactly.
him go
Yeah,
to make him
like it's really
vomit.
funny
Yeah.
and like you can it's kind of humorous all the way throughout. And then there's the potential in the fourth prompt for it to be something like I don't know, maybe they find a body, maybe they find like who knows what they find, right? But like it's so good. It speaks so evocatively of like this idea of grimy, disgusting Victorian London because it was, and a disgusting River Thames because it was. And yeah, I just really love it. I just thought the tonally it was so interesting and just made me chuckle. And I'm not even one like I normally don't like this kind of thing in my game. I'm not really into like like poop stuff in my games, but I don't know. This was pretty great. The
This one
themes
was
really
good.
hit home. Yeah,
I like unseens. I mean, I like all unseens, but unseens that are particularly about like specifically one or two characters
yeah,
doing a something like an
doing
activity over
doing their
the night,
task while you're
doing their
walking
task.
around through the night. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one that's really good. Again, I will echo, just like I'm normally not a big scatological fellow myself, but funny and also serves a purpose. So well done, Rob. Well done.
I do want to say for each track, I want to just rattle off some of the ones that were
Yeah.
like in the running for. These are like the honorable mentions. Essentially, they were in the running for to win. Well, the two spotlights were, but also for the unseens, I really loved the Long Way Home. I don't know who wrote any of these, but the Long Way Home, really great. Well, it's that one character in his like journey. It actually reminded me a lot of the Browns Hotel one in the themes and stuff and the emotion of it. Garden of Eden was amazing. Under the Shadow of the Empress was really good. It was such a
Garden of Eden was Amanda. I know that for a
was that
fact.
Amanda?
Amanda
Oh,
Blanford.
that totally makes sense. Under the Shadow of the Empress was this really interesting one about like kind of like culture clash between a group of Indians and like a British family is really terrific. Bad Luck at the Grand Guignol was really fabulous. Like I want to like watch the TV show of that one. That
Oh,
was
that was
so
Jack. That
great.
was Jack
Was
Hargraves.
that Jack? Okay, yeah, that totally reads. Like I would watch the show of that one. Yeah, so many great ones. Quite a few sexy unscenes, like the secretive photography session of Miss B, quite good as well. So yeah, so many fantastic unscenes. And for locations, my top ones that didn't quite make it. I really loved one called Cabinet of Curiosities. Very usable in the game.
That was Josh Demansky. Yeah,
Oh, awesome! Really? Oh,
yeah,
how cool! Good. I didn't
yeah.
realize Josh participated, so that's cool.
Every contest I believe I've seen something from Josh. I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, that almost made it. It was like real close. Vanishing Points had Vanishing Points was great because it was the theme of it was like something's getting away. A side character, a monster, the mastermind, and like this is where they disappear. And like it's such a great like because you have to imagine going to these different locations in that context and so they were like it was just super cool. They were really neat. Paranormal Investigation. Oh, Teeth. There was one called Teeth, which was pretty terrific. Another one called Nautical. Yeah, so many great options. I have a feeling we're going to make publishing offers to a lot of these folks to get them in Shadow
Yeah.
Society. So,
I mean I'm
yeah.
not alone in this. I know several other keepers who, like, as the contest wrapped, because there's been a bit of time between it wrapping and us doing this video, we've straight up gone into this folder and used several of these entries in our games.
Oh, nice.
These locations are really fun to
They're
use.
fun. Yeah, I'm excited that we're going to have this chapter in the book that's just like free roaming locations, like locations that are not tied to a particular threat that you can kind of use. I think it's going to be really neat. So,
And before we close out this video, which again, congratulations to the winners, I do want to ask you that in the this contest in the rear view mirror now, do you have any like major takeaways having read these submissions and seeing people's works on that? Because this is it feels like a much smaller scale writing contest than at least the handful that we've done previously. Do you have any particular thoughts on it and the experience and what you've seen people give in to the contest?
yeah, I do. I guess I do have some thoughts. One, maybe not like a more of a constructive thought than like a super positive thought. Folks really need to like go like learn with precision what paint the scene is. Like there were a lot of really good entries that were like so great, except for the paint the scene questions, and we might still publish some of those because I can punch up paint the scene questions. That's my part of my job, right? But that was kind of one thing. Like it's a real specific kind of thing that maybe wasn't quite translating for folks, especially if you hadn't really played these games before. It probably wouldn't. It's not just like asking what do you see, right? It's like what do you see that makes you feel a certain way, or what do you see that like conveys an idea. That's the difference. So that was one little note about because that's consistent in the unseens and in the locations, but especially the locations. I really like that we got so many entries. I thought that was great. I think these like shorter form contests are a really good approach because it kind of invites people to try things. I did not recognize some of these names of the winners, so that's pretty exciting. In past contests, there was like two or three people who were like pretty consistently like would always do well in the contest. So it's nice that it seems like we got like a lot more people who maybe had never tried it before to do that. And yeah, and it's not really answering your question, but I will say that I really hope that if you participated in this contest, I hope you got something out of it. Like, I mean, yes, there's like a little prize, and there's a chance that your entry gets published because we need to fill up these two new chapters. But like, really, truly, I just hope that you got like you found it a fun process. Like you had a lot of fun, like talking to people in Discord, getting feedback on your work. That's just such a important part of the creative writing process, and especially the game design process, right? You were engaging in game design, right? I hope that if you'd never tried anything like this before, you keep at it and you maybe try something else. Maybe try writing a whole thread. See how that goes. And also, like, just thank you for participating in the contest. I know that it's not easy to put yourself out there and to put your creative work out there to be read by people, to be judged by me. And so, for doing that, you should pat yourself on the back. That's a big, big step for a lot of people. And so, yeah, if you enjoyed the process, I hope you will continue kind of, creating and writing game stuff. So.
Well, thank you very much for announcing the winners, and congratulations again to all the people who won, and also
And
thank you
thanks
to
to you
people who
for
submitted.
organizing everything as well.
Oh, happy to. I was totally fine with getting to sit back and not be a judge for once and let you read all those entries.
Yeah, I didn't have to organize it for once. That was nice. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I had so many emails.
Yeah,
and
that's fun, right?
you made, before we close out, you made the note about learning how paint the scene questions work. My note to those wonderful everyone who submitted contest, thanks to you, is please remember to enable sharing when you give me your
yes. Yeah. Oh my god. It's nightmare.
It was okay. I got in contact with people. Yeah. Everything was great. You all did wonderful. Yeah. So everyone, hey, you're wonderful, and thank you. So anyway, that was again, congratulations. I'll say it for the umpteenth time, and I'm excited to see these in the Shrouded London chapter. So Jason, thank you very much for sitting down to do this.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.